Wilkins Jams, yes, at Tiptree in Essex, and with me I'm lucky enough to have Andre, farm manager. Now Andre, I remember coming to see that all these strawberries, they're on there sitting on chains that go up and down, and yeah, is that right?
Yeah, that's
How
correct.
long ago was it now that I came to that little section right up the other end there that was your experiment?
So we started 8 years ago with that little experiment, and that was a success, and we expanded now. So we've got about 10 acres of these structures, and it's been going well so far.
And the real idea, just to sort of backtrack a bit, is that you can put strawberries closer together because you move them up and down so the pickers can pick them. Is that really what is simple?
Yeah, with this structure, we improved 3 things actually. One was space used, so comparing to outside, what we call it, or still under cover, but we're having about 50,000 plants. Here we've got 100,000 plants, so we reduce the footprint by about 50% or 100%, I would say, 50 to 100, yeah, 100% improvement. Then this structure is a permanent structure. It's all year uncovered, and also we've got gutters. We collect the rain and send it to the reservoir where we use it for irrigation. So we kind of are 90% self-sufficient in our region, because our region doesn't get much rain. Last year, for example, we were 570 millimeters of rain, which is not enough to feed the plants. So we need to substitute a little bit. But if we get above 650 millimeters, we're self-sufficient here. And the other thing is, like, it's fully covered. We can control the climate. It's fully closed sides, tops, and everything, and we can produce fruit much earlier and much later in the season. So we're kind of extending our season. So
what sort of time, in comparison, say, with the tunnels that are outside, the ordinary tunnels, when do they start producing fruit normally on an average year?
On an average year, every year, pretty much we see about 4 weeks earliness. So 4 weeks without any extra heat, without any, it's just literally a closed structure with automatic ventilation, sides and tops.
And how about the other end of the season?
So at the other end of the seasons, again, the other end of the season is a light, deprive the plant, the day gets shorter, and at the same time the light level decreases and everything. We put the sides, we can get a little bit of warm, but up to 4 weeks, maybe a little bit less.
Right, now you're always experimenting here, and behind me I see an area with some lights. Now, come on, yeah, what's going on here?
That's what we're experimenting and trying lights, basically. We want to top up the light level so the plant can continue to grow for a bit longer, and we want it a little bit earlier if we can get it, and at the same time to extend the season even further, maybe by if we could do with lights, but instead of going all the time, the light sense automatically, they turn on when it gets dark, and it's a dark day today, and at the end of the year we're going to do an assessment how much energy we used, what was the benefit of the lights, and if it works we can expand for the entire greenhouse and put everything on the lights.
Because the only other thing that you can do to produce strawberries earlier or later is give heat and light, isn't it?
Correct. So this year we started with lights only, and we have the far end of the greenhouse, another tunnel where we're experimenting with heat as well, and we would like to see the difference if we got them separate. Next year what we're going to do, we're going to put everything together, heat and light, and assess that, and hopefully in a couple of years time we'll find the fine tune it and find the balance between heat and light. How much it's really important how much energy we use to produce that fruit. If we too heavy on energy, I don't think it will work economically. Basically, if we
the fruit costs too much money,
the fruit will cost too much money, and we won't be able to stack up the figures, so we won't be able to do it.
Just lastly, is it really only strawberry that you could treat in this way, or are there other fruits that you could actually work in the same method?
You can work every berry actually. They all need heat and light basically to function. So light for photosynthesis, enough heat to do that, to do the processes and everything. So yes, you can plant any crop under, but the smaller the crop is, the more economically and efficient is with the lights.
So that's why you're sticking to strawberries.
We will for now.
Now we're talking fresh fruit because something you said to me on the way down to the strawberries is that Britain, or England particularly, maybe Britain, produces enough raspberry and strawberry to actually fill supermarkets. It's not necessary to import particularly?
So throughout the main season, and main season it starts for strawberries, starts around May and finishes in November. I believe most of that time we are self-sufficient on, on fresh fruit in the supermarkets. The same, and raspberries are a little bit late. Maybe raspberries are starting at the beginning of June, and they will finish up to end of October into November, sometimes weather dependent. We're also self-sufficient, so very little fruit coming to the country from outside.
Which is quite good, isn't it, really, to think that we can be self-sufficient in at least one thing anyway.
We can be, but again, everything sometimes is weather dependent. So, it may start a little bit early, may shift in a bit earlier or later at the end of the season. So it's tricky sometimes at the beginning and the end of the season. Throughout the season, we know 100% we've got enough, we're producing enough fresh fruit for the first consumption.
Talking of which, we've got a bit of rain coming down at the moment. I mean, it's good for your reservoirs, isn't it? And are all your fruit crops protected?
So pretty much everything is protected. I would say we have protection on our strawberries, we have protection on our raspberries, we're protecting some of our sweet cherries. But we don't protect some of other fruits like our plums outside, our mulberries, medlars. They're late in the season, so there's no rain cover on them, but they're not for fresh consumption. They're mainly for jam.
So that doesn't matter if they're slightly damaged, in other words, does it?
I wouldn't say there would be damage, but processing is slightly different to fresh consumption products. For processing, they have to go through that process of washing, preparing to be ready for the jam. So a little bit of rain on them is not going to matter at all.